Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the IoT For All Podcast. I'm Ryan Chacon, and on today's episode, we're going to talk about the IoT industry as a whole and how LoRaWAN is playing a role in increasing adoption and helping battle investor pessimism that is happening around the industry. With me today will be Wienke Giezeman, the CEO and co-founder of the Things industry. Please feel free to like this video by giving it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you have not done so already, and hit that bell icon so you get the latest episodes as soon as they are out. But other than that, enjoy the episode. Welcome, Vinka, back to the IoT For All podcast. Thanks for being here again.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, it's great to
Great.
have you.
Yeah.
A lot of exciting things going on your end. It sounds like. Why don't you give our audience a quick introduction about yourself and the company, just in case people are not as familiar.
Sure. My name is Wienke Giezeman, CEO and co-founder of the Things Industries, and we help companies around the world in scaling their LoRaWAN solutions through our managed LoRaWAN network management software. LoRaWAN is a technology that allows you to connect telemetry sensors that last on a battery for very long over a network that you can build yourself. So the key features are the long range and the longevity of the battery. And for that, you need a specific piece of middleware, a real-time system called the LoRaWAN network server, and we're a world-leading company in providing that on-premise and as a managed service.
Fantastic. So I know today we want to talk about a lot of different things, but I wanted to jump into right away talking about kind of how you all right now are seeing the market. What kind of, what are the current market conditions that you're seeing play out as we start 2023 in this first quarter? But yeah, just kind of give us a high level from your vantage point of what you see going on.
Yeah, so what we see with regards to the sensor applications and LoRaWAN is that it's solving a lot of different problems. So our platform supports customers in Chile that put sensors in mines
Sure.
and for instance, monitor conveyor belts and the bearings of these conveyor belts. Or we help an agriculture technology company in Australia to track 10,000 cows and basically everything in between.
Right.
So what you see is that actually all these different niches that IoT serves, they are starting to figure out how to do digital transformation through IoT,
Okay.
and that's really the tide that's rising. So what you see is that all these different niches together form the IoT market,
Right.
and actually they need a lot of flexibility. So we help them with LoRaWAN technology, but you also have a lot of other technologies out there that also see this kind of growth. So I think we're past the hype, and where you now see that some customers are having very strong business cases, and that's really interesting to see, and that's really excites me. So we just announced that we have 1 million connected devices on our platforms from literally anywhere in the world, and we have customers across every continent.
Yeah.
And if you look at a single device, and if you know how hard it is to make a connected device basically work in a business case, you have to install it, you have to provision it, you have to
Right.
buy it. And then you, like, a conservative estimation would be is that the total cost of ownership of one device is already $200. So
Sure.
that means basically that we have 1 million connected devices, but the let's say the combined effort to put that in the market is already 200 million. And we
Mm,
calculated that every business case needs to have around a 4 to 5x return on investments over 4 to 5 years in the lifetime of these systems.
sure.
So yeah, we reasoned and the accumulated efficiency and benefits that these IoT solutions that we support generate is around 1 billion. So
Okay.
what we can be in the IoT market is very optimistic about the digital transformation and the efficiency and the business cases that it can support.
Yeah.
Um, it's just very fragmented across the world, but yeah, we are very optimistic
Yeah.
towards the future on this. Yeah.
So one of the things we mentioned before we started recording was around investment in the space, and it sounded like you've kind of noticed a little bit of kind of pessimism from investors. What do you think's kind of led to that that viewpoint from those who are looking to kind of put money into the industry. And then I guess how did that seems to kind of counter, or I guess it's kind of the opposite of what we're talking about here with seeing a lot of growth, seeing a lot of adoption. But tell me about what do you think is kind of contributing to that pessimism?
Yeah, it's a bit of a paradox, right? So I think we're optimistic around like the benefits
Yeah,
that IoT has for end users in the enterprise world, specifically for LoRaWAN.
right.
Um, if you look at the other side from the investment or technology investment community, they would love to see IoT companies do significant value grabs into that value
Okay.
that the end user is generating. Um, and I think the paradox is that the end users that succeed are very optimistic and are very happy with the benefits that these systems deliver. On the other side, I think what the investors are disappointed in how IoT companies are able to tap into that value, and it's not like what they probably would love to see in other technology, which are, let's say, purely SaaS and don't
Hmm.
have anything to do with hardware. Um, and I think that that's a bit of in this trough of disillusionment, also from an investment perspective. And I think that's a bit of a winter. But if I'm looking forward and I see that these IoT successes, they really prove the value. Um, in the end, I think what you will see is that more and more IoT end users,
Mm,
enterprises like smart buildings, smart cities, smart metering, that kind of, they will also generate the economies of scale to make sure that at least in the IoT companies could generate also more value. I can only speak for our company,
of course.
and uh, I see we're growing 60% year on year, and it's going in the right direction. Um, but I think that's a bit of the perspective that the investment community has on IoT. But I think also the things I see with regards to the end user value, and in the end, like the money has to come from there, right?
Right.
There has to be an
Right.
efficiency or business case transformation or
Right.
digital transformation that delivers that money,
Right.
and in the end, that will be able that if you just provide the right services and provide to address a larger market,
Sure.
yeah, we'll get there.
Do you how much do you think the current market conditions and kind of being in limbo, seeing which way are we, are we going into a recession, are we not, kind of around just the general global economy is factoring into that investment kind of perspective? Do you think they're kind of just waiting to see what direction a lot of the kind of global economy goes into, especially obviously in the states where we're talking about potentially a recession, or do you think it has more to do with just the to your point earlier, which is looking more for kind of that recurring SaaS revenue, and obviously with IoT, it takes a little bit of time to kind of get there.
Yeah, yeah. So I think what you now see is that IoT maybe was used to be sold on a promise that it can generate some business model transformation or that it can be very disruptive. Yes, we've seen cases where that happens, but I see 95% of the time that it's creating a bottom line efficiency.
Yeah,
And actually that capability is very aligned with the current need of companies, right? They they are really looking at healthy business metrics, and also making sure they are watching their bottom line, where maybe in 2021 and 2022 they only looked at the top line and just pour as much as money in, and then just make sure that you grow faster than your competitor. And all the use cases I see around, for instance, smart metering or facility management, it actually is able to reduce the operational expenses of a building, of a
yeah,
city, of a utility company,
right,
and there's always money for that. The thing that's critical, and I think for the next 12 months is that once the IoT kind of product or the solution that you're working with is still not up to level of maturity that is really repeatable and has almost a return of investment,
right,
at least of 100% within 6 months,
right,
then maybe you have a tough time. But if you have proven this kind of yeah, I invest this and my operational expense is lowered by this, and already on that business case, I make my money back on the IoT
Yeah.
spent within 6 months. Then it doesn't really matter if it's a recession, because if it contributes to optimizing your bottom line, it's actually
Well,
a better argument in a recession.
yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that because it's kind of like what we saw during the pandemic. We towards after kind of things started to kind of move through the pandemic and people started to realize kind of what was happening. We started to see IoT solutions kind of rise to the top of priority list because it was enabling companies to do more with less and do that more with less remotely.
Yeah,
And so they were be able to be increase efficiency and increase the way they monitor things and handle things without having to physically be in person. And just when you think about IoT as a whole being able to be or being a thing, solutions that focus on increasing that efficiency within organizations, which should, assuming that you build the solution correctly from a expense standpoint or cost standpoint, should be something that contributes to bottom line growth and allowing you to do more with less resources
yeah,
if you do it right. And that's why
yeah,
I think no matter I'm not saying IoT is recession proof by any means, but it is something that I think we'll see move more higher into the priority list of organizations to help companies do more with less people or less resources. But I do think a big contributor to that is going to be seeing more successes and more use cases that are rolled out in industries that they either are in or connected to, and use that as an encouragement to
yeah.
kind of feel comfortable adopting.
Yeah, no, yeah, and exactly, and I think one of the strong motivators, I think always is for everybody, is that if you see your competitor succeed with a solution, right, then that's a strong motivator. What we see in the market, so I think that's always it's always good to make sure that we share successes,
Right.
and yeah, besides if it's of course like a competitive in a competitive in a sensitive in a competitive way,
Right.
but yeah, we have a lot of customers that love to share their story and also be known as this innovative company
Yep.
that is taking the lead here, and also not only let's like show I have a fancy like a shiny sensor, or I have
Yep.
something that is new, but actually really driving that business case.
For sure.
um, yeah,
Yeah, I think
but
the
yeah,
I think to your point, like being able to show and really focus around the business case of a solution is very critical for
yeah,
organizations to really kind of get over that hump of adopt or the kind of the hesitation of adoption.
yeah.
Where do you see the what or I guess what use cases do you see kind of leading the way, or have you seen, I guess, over the last number of months, new use cases kind of rise to the top of your customers and just from your own industry perspectives list of things that they're focused on doing, or where do you kind of see that going throughout the year just compared to what we've seen in the past?
Yeah, so I get that question a lot. So one of the things that we're going to launch in a few weeks is a business case library,
Okay.
where we list around 100 of these different business cases. But if you look at what's really strong now is just it's all about performance, right? There's in this time of recession or at least doubts about around recession, there's no room to play around, right,
Right.
too much,
Right.
and so what one like very strong performing use cases is, for instance, food compliancy through cold chain monitoring. You put a
Mm.
few LoRaWAN sensors in your operations, and we've seen quick service restaurants reducing through a few sensors their cost with one FTE, and that's just a magical business case. And once that works in one restaurant, like you want to scale that as fast as possible across your entire, let's say, group of franchisees. And um, one of the interesting things is this is this typical use case where you come for the compliancy and for the efficiency, and all of a sudden you see they have all around a lot of data that you could use, for instance, a franchise quality assurance, like all kinds of other like side effects that come with this solution that just makes it so strong. We're partnering with a leading company in the UK called Connexin on large smart water metering deals. So that's that LoRaWAN is perfect for that, right? You
Yeah.
don't have an active power source at a water meter, and working with experienced operators to build
Right.
these, let's say, dedicated networks. That's just amazing, and the effects and the kind of yeah, almost magic they do with that data
Right.
and the
Right.
value that generate from that is unbelievable. From
Oh,
of course,
absolutely.
the basics of water metering, but also like water leakage,
Sure.
kind of infrastructure planning.
Sure.
It's amazing. So yeah, these are two key things that we really see strong growth in.
Fantastic. And just for our audience who may not be as up to date and understanding kind of how LoRaWAN is contributing to growth and adoption in different areas, what is it about LoRaWAN technologies that really enables it to be something that companies should consider when it comes to certain use cases and such?
Yeah. So with regard to LoRaWAN, it's here and now. And then if you're a systems integrator or you have a product development team in your corporate or enterprise, we we have partnerships with around 300 to 400 device makers, and they have tested and provisioned and integrated around 1,500 device profiles with our LoRaWAN management platform.
Right.
And this means that what it actually is capable of to do is to address the inherent to address the fragmented market that's out there. And you think, okay, why would you need so many different devices? You would be amazed in how many different ways you could measure temperature. You would be amazed in how many ways meters, gas meters, water meters are basically how do things work? So
Yeah.
one of the challenges of Internet of Things is that it's addressing a physically fragmented market.
Okay.
And what LoRaWAN is doing is it's solving that fragmentation by having this massive device maker ecosystem and basically normalizing it to like simple payloads. And it's something we announced at our conference, what we're doing together with Microsoft and the digital twin device language. Basically, what it allows you to do is to harmonize the data models and make it very easy to understand for ERP systems, but
Sure.
actually address the fragmented market. So if I would say what's really special about LoRaWAN right now is that it's able to solve a lot of different problems with the same ecosystem and the same core platform.
Gotcha. Fantastic. Yeah, that's a great overview. I'm actually speaking with the head of the Laura Alliance later today to talk kind of about a similar kind of focus area, just talking about like their views on the market as well.
Yeah.
But but yeah, it sounds like a lot of great things are going on. I guess to break away from this for a second, what's the latest on kind of other things going on over at the company? I know you have your events and things like that, but what's kind of on the agenda, or what should we be looking out for kind of in the coming months?
Yeah. So we have a super focus on product leadership and operational excellence for this LoRaWAN network management infrastructure. So the middleware you need to operate LoRaWAN networks that you put in place in buildings and in cities and in farms, etc. And we'll be coming up with more and more tools for systems integrators and device makers to make sure that basically they don't have to worry about LoRaWAN. And then we make sure that everything is pre-integrated for the many solutions that you can build with it. So that's for us going forward, and pushing this growth all around the world. We have our yearly flagship event, which is always in September in Amsterdam. There we have basically a large LoRaWAN conference with developers and systems integrators and product managers all across the world, where the latest and greatest is shared. So that's going to be this year, 21st and 22nd of September.
Okay.
And yeah, the listeners and viewers of this show will have access to a discount code, which I'll provide to you
Fantastic.
after the show. But
Yeah.
so yeah, that's going on, and yeah, heads down and grow this market. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on here today.
Sure.
For audience who wants to learn more about what's going on with you all and just kind of pay attention to the events and the other things coming out, what's the best way they can do that?
Yeah, so best way is, I mean, I love LinkedIn nowadays. So us and our team are always available there. Or you go to www.thetingsindustries.com, and there you will basically have the entire toolkit to get started with LoRaWAN and build your first solution.
Okay.
Um, we have all kinds of educational tools and documentation to what we call get you from 0 to 1. So to start the integration effort and get going with your first solution. And then we have a complete set of tools to scale you from 1 to 1 million. So basically, it's a very extensive toolkit to get you going and be successful with LoRaWAN.
Fantastic. Well, Vika, thank you so much again for taking the time. It's always a pleasure to have
Great,
you on, and look forward to talking again hopefully soon and doing a lot of more things together.
perfect, and the same. Thanks for having me.
All right, everyone. Thanks again for watching that episode of the IoT For All podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please click the thumbs up button, subscribe to our channel, and be sure to hit the bell notification so you get the latest episodes as soon as they become available. Other than that, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.